Kingdom Come, Superman, DC Direct, yes. This is kind of a continuation of my favorite costume. We've talked about it before. The 40s costume, it is my favorite costume. The S, the black background, the Flesher costume. When I think of Superman and all the looks he's ever had, for some reason my mind goes back to that and always says that's his best costume. In fact, one of my all-time favorite moments ever seeing a live-action Superman is seeing, was it the, it's the one of the most recent series. He flies in and he's wearing that costume. I'm trying to remember if it was like Lois and Superman, Superman and Lois, Superman and Lois. It is Superman and Lois. That series, when they showcased that costume, oh man, I was like, oh no way. My favorite costume just got a live action. I'm sold. This is so cool. The idea that we got a Kingdom Come Superman is just unreal. They're saying it's the Justice Society of America Superman from this specific issue. If we're to understand how DC Direct page punchers type of thing works, they give us a comic book with it, and that comic book is supposed to represent the thing that we just got, kind of, for what it's worth. Sure, this is Kingdom Come. That's what this is. That's what it is. And it looks like it's fantastic. I like an old man Superman, for what it's worth. I just do. Like, I like the idea that he ages and that he's still very much what he is, but I kind of liked that he was like coming back to a world that had moved on, that didn't need or want his brand of justice anymore. And it has somewhat gotten out of hand. And he comes back and kind of starts to become this pillar again. And I absolutely loved it. Like, that comic book is a little more complicated than that. I'm being very basic with the way that I describe it. If you read it, you'll see. But, like, I love this old man Superman idea. And I always have. I can see that there's probably going to be a couple minor issues that I'll have with this. But what I want this for isn't necessarily this deep attachment to Kingdom Come Superman. It's that this is one of the coolest Supermans that we have ever seen. This is Alex Ross. That right there gets my attention right off the bat. And it's basically a continuation older man of the 1940s Superman that I already put on the shelf. All of those things together make me want him. So, let's open up this terrible clamshell. I hate this packaging. And check him out. Okay. I got him. It was a bit of a struggle. I really do not like those clamshells. I think they're a pain to open, and I just don't like them, okay? Here he is. This is an older man Superman. Right here. He's good. He's got that like hard exterior about him. He kind of looks like an older guy. Can I get the camera to focus on him? Can I do it? Can we do it? Can we create a focus? Create a focus on him. Look at him. There he is. I got it. He's good. I like the old man face. I like the older man body. I think it works very well. We are seeing a lot of reuse here, but come on, you know what this is. It's a McFarlane figure. We're not going to cry that much about it. I wish, if I'm going to say one thing about it, I wish we could have got more gray on the side. I don't think they really sold that enough. I think we needed a little more. I think we needed more gray on the sides here. I think that would have done him a lot of favors, if you want the truth about it. Also, the cape is really solid, but this Superman, if I'm remembering right, his cape hung down in the back. I am glad they didn't do that. Because I do seem to remember that this one had a cape that hung down. Like it kind of was down here, and then you saw the blue. I'm glad they didn't do that, because I prefer this. But also, even though it probably wouldn't have been right for this figure, I love the actual emblem on the back of the cape. Now, I know the 1940s Superman didn't have that. That's something that I've just come to like. I like the S on the back of the cape as well, but I think this is fairly accurate. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just simply saying. Still, same old problem, though. The neck joints on the McFarlane figures, Superman can't really look up very well. That's about the best we're going to get. And I guess that's pretty good, to be fair. I don't know if I'm complaining about that. You know what? That's good. I could argue it would have been nice if he would have looked a little more up, but I could fix that if I wanted to, and that doesn't look bad, in all honesty. I think that's fine. The color separation is pretty solid, but we're not expecting too much from this Superman. Gold, the black, the red, it's all deep colors. I like the emblem up here. I think that works very well. He did come with 2 flight hands, if that's what you want to call them, depending on how you view your Superman. Does your Superman fly like kind of where he opens his hand, or does he put that fist out and will himself to fly through the air? I guess that's up to you, to be fair. We are looking at a McFarlane figure, so we're looking at pins and things of that nature, but we're also looking at the best possible Superman body that we can get. His cape is long, but not too long. It comes down exactly where I want it. It comes down a little bit past the boots. That's it. That's where I want my cape. That is the perfect Superman cape. It needs to come down the littlest bit past the boot, and I'm fine with it. That's 100%. That's fine. Otherwise, not too much really to say here. He's got plenty of movement in his arm and whatnot. They're not really butterfly joints. I wouldn't call them that, but he can get a pretty good decent in, and he can get a pretty good decent all the way back and whatnot. Is a solid Superman. I don't think anybody that buys this is going to be disappointed, realistically. There are small things we could complain about, sure. But it's also a $30 figure. Like, so how much are you willing to complain? And to give it to him, you got a comic book, which I honestly feel is a bit of a waste, because you got literally issue 10 of the Justice Society of America, and then I guess if you want to buy the omnibus after reading this one issue of Superman, if you wanted to do that, if you want to read this one issue of Justice Society and then get way into Superman or whatever, and then, like, you know, I mean, I guess you could do that. I'm just saying, this is where I saw a lot of my Power Girl stuff. Like, look, when Superman decides that he's walking out of the room, Power Girl is the one that puts him on his face. You're not going to convince me that any of these other characters were able to do it. When he decided to leave, she grabbed him by the back. She's the one that puts her arm around his neck, and she's the one that tackles him to the ground. You're not going to tell me Hawkman tackled Superman to the ground. You're not going to convince me of that. You're not going to convince me that old man Jay Garrick tackled him to the ground. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Power Girl is the only person there with the physical strength to stop him for even a second. Even a second. And, like, this is good, but you don't get enough here to care or even really know too much about this. It's good they kind of go into his background. It's the Justice Society. They're sitting there talking to him. How'd you end up here? Where'd you come from? What's going on in your world and things like that. You get a comic book, okay? I still think it's a little... This is not going to make anybody a comic book fan. That's what I'm going to say. The people that saw a really cool Superman and wanted a cool Superman, they're not going to read that comic and all of a sudden decide, oh, this is what I've been missing my whole life. It's not going to happen. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to happen. I don't know how I feel about selling the comic books with the figures. See, if I want comic books, I'm going to either buy single issues, or I'm going to get online or wherever I got to go, and I'm going to buy some omnibus and some graphic novels, and I'm going to have some comic books. If I want some figures, I'm going to buy some figures. There's never been an instance where I've wanted and or needed both at the same time. It just feels like an extra thing that adds money value that isn't really... I'm just not sold on it. I don't know how I feel about these figures that come with comic books, if I'm being perfectly honest. For the nostalgia of it, I don't mind it with, like, Motu Origins, because the mini-comics are what they are, and there's a history behind the mini-comics, and it's kind of cool to read that tiny, because it's not that much, it's not like a big read or anything like that, not that any comic book is, but I just, like, also when you read the mini-comic, you finish the tiny story, the little mini-story about the one thing that you just bought, and you kind of have an idea of what it is. This is issue 10 of the Justice Society of America from years ago. Are you going to go hunt down 9? Like 1 through 9? I think it's misleading. I don't understand 100%, or I'm not on board 100% with why these comics add any real value to the figures. I'm a little weird about that. I'm a little on the side about that. However, this Superman came with a flight stand. A flight stand. Because he, like, flies. Like, I don't know what's going on with McFarlane. We'll get flight stands, and then he'll give us another character that flies, and give us that stupid little circle stand that does nothing for anybody. If you gotta jack the price up the littlest bit to give us these things as a standard, give us these things as a standard. For characters that don't fly, I will take this off and I will use this. And for characters that do fly, or jump, or do a bunch of acrobats or something like that, I'd rather have these. These are cheap stands, but they get the job done. They really do work. I've even used these in a couple of photography pieces because for as cheap as they are, they're just decent little stands. Sell these. And if nothing else, we would appreciate landing them, because think about if you bought a bunch of these figures and they came with flight stands. These, even if you got to add $2 to the price of the figures that are already there. It's not like we're not already nickel and diming to death anyway. But I would argue that it would be worth it. The reason I would argue it is because, say you bought 20 of these and you got 20 of these. You could use them on the figures that made sense. And then you could move them over to your Marvel shelf. And Marvel Girl could fly. Or Spider-Man could jump. This will hold them. If it's holding these figures, it'll hold them. And all the other figures that make sense for something like this. Like if you want Evelyn to levitate off the ground or something like that. These would have massive versatility, to the fact that I would argue, and I'm serious about this, if these were standard, when these guys went on sale, like, and you saw figures that like dropped down to like $10 or whatnot, I'll bet you people would buy them just to get these. You would never see these guys. I don't think you would ever see these guys peg warming. I don't think it would happen. I think it would be a thing of the past if these were standard. Because every time these things went on clearance or kind of started getting backed up or went on sale or whatever, Like Big Bad was like, hey, can we get rid of these? We got like 100 of these Lex Luthors and nobody wants them. Do they come with a stand? Because I'll buy 10 of those stupid Lex Luthors and throw the Lex Luthors away just for these. I'll bet you that would happen. I'm serious. I think these would move a little bit of material. It's just weird to me that he will not, like, he's incredibly picky about when he gives those stands away. Thankfully, this legend got one. The wireframe is solid. Everything about this guy is exactly what you want it to be. I don't have anything else to say here, except for this is a fantastic Superman figure. Good job.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.